Hey Ricky, I I hear your other half has that like wild Chick-fil-A money. Can you have her spot us a couple bills because at tomorrow we're going to the club.
Just two guys named Ricky and Zach. Strum that rhythm, never look back. Easy talking when racing's a blast. Just here on the High Octane podcast.
That's right. We're going to Auto Club this week. Hello. Welcome back to the High Octane podcast. My name is Zach Woods. And over here, now that we have the screen right, now I have to retrain myself again, is my buddy Ricky Gonzalez. Say hello to the internet, bud.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to episode 6 of season 2, Party at the Club. Yeah. And going to Auto Club this week. And Zach, it's been a fantastic 2 weeks. And it's been a long time since me and you have done this show together, and it's good to be back on air with all of our viewers and everyone who tunes in to watch these things. So very appreciative of those guys and girls that are tuning in. And yeah, let's get this thing started.
Yeah, really excited. We got a jam-packed show for you down here on the bottom. We'll be running the rundown now for you guys, so you know where we're going to go in the podcast tonight. We have a Bristol recap for you to show off what happened as Friday Night Fuel took on the Coliseum. And then we're going to talk about points as we get closer and closer to the end of the regular season. That regular season chase for the championship is starting to heat up. And then our pit stop is going to include a bunch of awesome real-life NASCAR news, really exciting stuff going out to San Diego, and also talking a little bit of NASCAR 25. We're kind of known for doing that a little bit here, and I got some more news today, so we'll be able to drop that for you guys. And then, of course, going to the club on Friday as the drivers of Friday Night Fuel prepare for Auto Club. Let's hit the road by just taking a brief moment to take a look back at where we've been, which was Bristol Motor Speedway. This event featured 300 laps around Bristol with 5 cautions, and John Gutekunst is able to get his 3rd win of the season. Had a period in time where John wasn't racing with us, and now he's kind of on that threshold where, hey, he's got to make some races and some hay when it comes to making up for lost time. John is on a roll right now, capturing the win at Bristol, but it was not without difficulty. Spencer Teal came in second, had a really great car for most of the event. And then Bill Sleep is your podium finisher in 3rd. I finished 4th, and Wade Burris rounds out your top 5 from Bristol Motor Speedway. Ricky, this event featured 5 cautions, and it was, for the most part, a pretty well kept together race. Talk to those that are watching about your night at Bristol, and then just the night as a whole, as you certainly had an event-filled evening.
Yeah, it was definitely eventful for sure. We were quick. I didn't think we were the fastest car. I think we were a top 3 car all night long before the mishaps started to happen. And I thought we were able to keep pace with Till. Till did a good job of aero blocking in that second stage. He led wire to wire from that first stage, and John got around us too eventually, sometime towards the later half of that stage. And he was fairly quick. So I believe we finished 3rd in the stage, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I think we finished 2nd. But yeah, we came down, did our pit stop, and then we were coming to choose, and all of a sudden the wheel just decided to have a mind of its own. And if anybody that's out there that has a Fanatec system, I highly recommend that you double check all your stuff for the issue that happened with us. So it turns out with a Fanatec system, you have a quick release, and so yeah, we have the wheel on the ground right now, so you can see it's all pulled off right now. There's the quick release as I do that, but the clamp that's on the base came loose, and so it actually pulled the shaft that holds the wheel in place. That came out a little bit. We were able to diagnose it with Fanatec support when we got back from hanging out with Vanessa over the weekend, and yeah, they said just make sure the clamp's good, reset it, maybe unloosen it, and then loosen it, tighten it back in. And sure enough, that was the issue at hand. We updated the firmware. Thought it was a firmware issue at first, so I kept trying to go back with firmware, trying to make sure that that wasn't the issue, and it turns out it wasn't. Thank God, it's not a $2,000 repair, because these things, as a hobby, can get really, really expensive. But that was unfortunate. So yeah, the wheel just cut off. It acted like there wasn't nothing was connected to the base, as far as the pedals weren't even working, the shifter didn't work. It just felt like, as you said, in our team Discord, it kind of decided to have its own Annabelle moment and kind of just go haywire. So we got it fixed. We're all back. We're set. We streamed Tuesday night. We were able to do a league that has the ARCA series in it, and we no issues there, besides getting junked on lap 15. But besides that, everything fell in place. We were able to just run all the laps. So hopefully that's the small issue. So anybody out there that has a Fanatec, that has Fanatec gear, double check that clamp that's right on your wheelbase. So overall, I thought the night was really well. We had good, hard, clean racing, especially with those top three guys. And Till did whatever he could to make sure those guys were behind you, as changing lanes and all that stuff. And yeah, I don't know what happened at the end of this after we kind of had our misfortunes. We kind of exited the session because there was just no point in being there. Should have stayed. I felt like, as being an admin with the league, probably should have stayed. But I was just so worried of there was a major issue with what was going on with the gear. So um, yeah, overall, when we were participating, I thought it was fairly decent. It didn't have a lot of cautions. I feel like the only cautions that came out was, I think, three of them, or two or three were for me with the issue at hand, and then I think we had like one or two single car spins where they're kind of just stuck on the racetrack. It was also kind of weird seeing folks like Mark struggle. That was kind of odd for me. I know he was battling with kind of some sim rig issues where he's in Illinois for work when on doing installs, and it just kind of, he didn't have his normal stuff, and so he's with a different wheel, different setting, different pedals, not used to what he's running. I thought that was kind of odd because normally he can just get in a car and just go. Another one that was shocked me to death too was Dalton. That I didn't see that coming out of him. That performance, that was kind of shocking to kind of lap him every 20, 25 laps. So you can see a lot of guys struggle that you're normally used to seeing at the top of the leaderboard. But at the end of the day, John did what he could, and he came out on top. I felt like Spencer got in that dirty air when he got behind John, probably kind of just made the car probably a little bit tighter than he wanted it to be. And then John was able to escape there with a victory. So kudos to him for having a terrific night at Bristol last week.
Yeah, they battled really hard. I had a front row seat there for the battle for the lead there towards the later parts of that race, and it was fantastic driving. They were crossing each other up and trying to use each other's lanes and strengths to the other's advantage, and it was a lot of fun to watch. So it was a really neat battle between two guys that you could tell really, really want it. Bill Sleep winds up finishing third. I felt like early on in the race at the first caution, we had an opportunity to go down pit road and pit. And unfortunately, I did not pay attention to directions. And I went down the wrong pit lane, and I didn't go in from turn 2 and go all the way around. I went off of turn 4, and because, well, that's where my pit stall is. And so I had a 40-second hold, but right at the 40-second hold, there was a wreck. Yeah, there was a naturally occurring caution. So I kind of mitigated some of that damage, but the reality was I was already multiple laps down, just trying to salvage a decent day. But I thought realistically, I was probably the fourth best car out there behind you three, you, John, and Spencer. And but Bill, let me tell you, it's just doing what he needs to do. Like, he didn't make those mistakes, and he gets the podium. Good man. We keep talking about him, and he's just knocking off just consistent, solid stuff. So yeah, good run from those guys. Rounding out your top 10, we talked about Wade finishing 5th. We mentioned Dalton Gibson, but Dalton still finished 6th. Again, just I really thought that 17 would be up there competing. I know those JST guys are really, really good competitors. Ryan Seabright finished 7th. You finished 8th, Ricky. Mark 9th. which uncharacteristically he was off the pace. Something funny about Mark is that normally Mark decides not to qualify and then he weaves his way through the field. Anytime Mark winds up catching me on his rampage through the field, I'm like, I gotta get out of the way. I gotta move because he's coming. Well, Mark got up through the field, got up to me, and I think I was like fourth, probably fourth or fifth at the time. And then he just stopped, and I'm like, well, this is new. And like, is this it? And sure enough, we learned later that yeah, he's in a different spot, and so the comfort level of your rig really matters. And I think Mark kind of ran into that last week. But yeah, congratulations to John, clicking off that third win. Now he's the most wins out of anybody in the series so far. But let's take a look because that's going to help him certainly in the playoffs. But when it comes to regular season standings, John's missed a bunch of races. So he's trying to dig himself out of the hole. Let's transition now over 2 points. They're up on the screen now. You can see that to everybody's bewilderment, the leader's still the leader through this amount of races. And partially it comes to the fact that, well, I've participated in more races than anybody else in Friday Night Fuel, only missing last week for, only missed 2 weeks ago, I guess I should say, probably. But regardless, it was still enough to get the job done and get the lead. But you got some players up here. I'm looking at Bill Sleep. He added another feather to his cap, getting P3 coming out of Bristol.
Yeah, and one thing that I see with Bill is that every race he's participated in, it doesn't matter the car count that if it's low, high, medium, like it doesn't matter. Look at that column with top tens. I mean, he's just going to top 10 you to death. And those are valuable. Now, the kicker is, can he get stage points? And we've talked about it in season 1, and we talked about it all last season as well. Those are critical. You only get one opportunity to get a stage point or stage points, and he's probably capitalizing on all that stuff, and that's where you see him running in that third position. Another guy that I see, Spencer Till. I know he's not really running for a championship, but I mean, he is part time, but still 4 races, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s. So that kid is yeah, he's a factor when it's all said and done. Dalton had a decent night, 6 races, counted 5 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and then just looking at this list, Brett's another factor. He's an improvement. He kind of struggled too last week there at Bristol, but I mean he's a factor there. But yeah, the goal is to try to catch that guy that's in the 6 car, and hopefully we can have a good night tomorrow, and hopefully we can get some stage points, and hopefully we can margin that gap just a little bit more once we go to the state of California.
Yeah, let's get rid of the points now. Yeah, so if you're interested in checking out the regular season standings, go to SimRacer Hub and go find Friday Night Fuel over there so you can have maybe a more comprehensive look at the regular season standings. I am as surprised as everyone else. So the dream, I can only assume, will end at some point. But if I can get the regular season championship, that would be amazing. But there's a lot of strong guys here still racing and still competing hard. So we'll see how it goes. And we all know how much I love road courses. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. So yeah, hold our breath for Sonoma. But let's now transition into our pit stop for the night, pull into the stall and take a look at what's going on in the world around us. One of the big developments out of NASCAR in the last 48 hours is that NASCAR had in my opinion, a slam dunk of a production opportunity, breaking out all the stops when it comes to announcing this huge event over in San Diego. It's going to replace the Chicago Street Course in 2026 with on a military base of all things. And these guys are making sure that, Hey, we're kicking off the season of celebrating America 250th anniversary right. This date is Father's Day of 2026. And in fact, all the series, trucks, Xfinity, and Cup are all going to this naval base in San Diego to go and race. Um, what do you think about the promo? What do you think about this change of moving away from Chicago, bringing that bringing that NASCAR vibe to Southern California?
Yeah, I think it's great. It's a market that embraces NASCAR. They've done it at Auto Club where we're going tomorrow night. They've done it at Sonoma, which is in Northern California, try to appease the guys in San Francisco. And then you have Auto Club, which is down in Southern California near Los Angeles. Los Angeles is just such a big market, and NASCAR needs to be in those types of markets. They tried the LA Coliseum, tried to do something different. Now we see that transition over to Bowman Gray. I feel like that's where NASCAR was going with. They're trying to find a second Bowman Gray, and with all the history that was there at the LA Coliseum, hosting the Olympics, they have USC football. The LA Rams played there before moving to SoFi Stadium. They have to be in a market that's that big, and LA is one of the top three markets, I believe, for NASCAR when they go travel. I believe you don't have anything in that New York metro. You have LA, and then I think Dallas Fort Worth is probably one of the top three that's in there when it comes to markets for NASCAR. And so it was pretty cool. The production I thought was awesome. The way that they filmed it with kind of the fighter jet theme they had going on, and seeing all the behind the scenes footage of that was pretty cool. And everyone getting call sign names, and the line of the whole production, I believe, why didn't we get SVG, or where's SVG? I thought that was tremendous. And then learning more about what they're doing in San Diego. Come to find out, that's where they filmed Top Gun. So they filmed both Top Guns there. The drivers also were able to visit the bar that was in both movies where they do Great Balls of Fire. So that's pretty cool to have a little bit of history with Top Gun and the Hollywood scene. And then you're bringing on, celebrating America, bringing on 250th anniversary. I believe it's the Navy that's celebrating the 250th anniversary of them. So it's a lot of good things that is going on. And the only question I have out there is, when do we get that sucker on iRacing? Because I bet you that's going to be a blast going down a runway at 180 mile an hour, going into a break zone, trying to make a left or right hand turn. That's probably just like the Chicago street course, where a bunch of 90-degree corners. And so this one I'm looking forward to, and hopefully they can add the Arlington track that IndyCar is going to next year. That would be pretty cool to have both those tracks on the server.
I'm really curious about how this course is going to translate into like an actual racing product, because with road course racing, right? I think it's pretty well known that road course racing is much different than street course racing. Street course, you have how a street is designed, right? Where the track comes up to the middle and it's able to wash away all the water and the oil. Track, any kind of road course, doesn't work that way. It's a road and in a proper racing sense. When you're going down a runway, right? Flat. You're not dealing with the way a street is paved or made. So you're kind of getting rid of that like balance challenge issue. And in my opinion, that's what makes like driving over a pothole, or not a pothole, manhole cover. That's what I was getting at. That was a challenge in Chicago. So the road grade and the elements of driving on a street, I'm not quite sure if that really translates over into, hey, we're on a military base and a bunch of this is going to be on an airstrip. The official track layout hasn't been handed out yet, so there's definitely going to be some elements of, I would say, for lack of a better phrase, different terrain of how the drivers navigate the course, right? The picture it like any other given airport, right? There's roads that lead up to a runway, but the runway is built differently than the asphalt road is, and it's graded differently. I think it's going to be a huge challenge for these teams trying to figure out like the most alt terrain event NASCAR's had in quite some time, even though for maybe the average fan, you don't think about that, but I'm sure these teams are going to think like, hey, not all of this is one material that we're going to be racing on.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that. That's one of the topics I was going to bring up. Is normally a runway's built with concrete, and we experienced that last week at Dover. You know, concrete takes rubber a little bit differently than asphalt, right? It could be quicker, it could not be quicker. We saw Dover, that rubber buildup. I heard drivers all. We weren't able to watch the race live, but going back and watching some of the drivers on board, they were complaining of like rubber buildup, right? How quickly Dover took in that rubber. So it's going to be interesting to see that transition when they go from concrete back to asphalt, or going from asphalt to concrete,
Yeah.
seeing how that will spin with all that horsepower that car has in the next gen. If it's going to be able to just grip more, is there going to be some wheel spin that goes to that with that transition? Is it going to be in a braking zone? We saw a little bit of the concrete to asphalt at Chicago when they went over the bridges and all that stuff. And I believe going into turn 4, 5, and 6, that's kind of concrete going back to asphalt, transitioning and all that. So interested to see kind of where they place this track map to see where those braking zones are, if there are transitions like that. Believe you won't see as many manholes as you did at Chicago or what F1 experiences in Las Vegas. Um, we saw last year in F1, one of those cars went over a manhole and it destroyed the suspension of that race car. And we all know how sensitive an F1 car is when it comes to suspension and all that. So it's definitely going to be interesting. One other thing I'm worried about is how do you get practice time? You know, are they going to have this track layout in the simulator? I'm sure they have over a year to give all that information over to the teams. Or, and this is always the money question that when you go to, at least when me and you go to a track, that's the money question you ask some of these drivers is you talk about iRacing with them is if they're able to get this layout on iRacing, do the drivers use both the simulator that the manufacturer is providing, or do they use more seat time in a simulator and get on iRacing and start running more laps like that? So, and nobody's been here, Zach. Nobody's turned a lap on this course. Nobody's seen it. We don't know what it's going to look like. So it's going to be definitely a work in progress for these drivers, and it's going to be a challenging race for them um, down in San Diego. We said Father's Day weekend, so I'm guessing sometime in June.
Mid-June.
Weather's probably going to be a little bit hotter than what they're anticipated down in beautiful California and San Diego. Probably upper 80s, maybe low 90s. And if it's next to the water, that humidity coming from the water could play a major factor as well as far as grip levels go.
Yeah, and electrical issues. I mean, that water can get in the car and mess some things up. I I hesitate to even like get excited about a scan of this particular track, and the reason is because it's a literal military base, and I don't. We'll have to see if the powers that be allow that kind of access. I mean, Google Earth exists, so like if you wanted to go and see what it looks like from an aerial shot, I'm sure you could. But so it's not like Area 51 or anything, right? Nobody's ever seen the place, but I would, I, I really would hesitant to think like they're just gonna let iRacing or whatever company come in and yeet some scans there on the racetrack and hey, I got you, and and do their job without there being major questions of security in general. And so I'm curious to see how all that plays out. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I try to be realistic. So speaking of games and things of that nature, let's talk a little bit about some breaking news from NASCAR 25. We've told you guys if there's ever anything that comes along. If there's ever anything that she got me,
It runs, Zach. It just runs with us.
if there's anything that comes along with NASCAR 25, it will be talked about here on the channel, as we're very passionate about console gaming as well. NASCAR 25 released uh, their their release date for this game, and that will be October 14th of this year, with PC users having to wait a little bit longer. So So PlayStation and Xbox users are going to get it on the 14th. If you use iRacing's previous console metrics before, um, when they were in the Dirt game and made the Dirt Series game, they did this as well to PC users. The console users got their game on the release date, and then PC users had to wait 6 months for the game to drop on PC. So, not saying that that's going to happen here for NASCAR 25, but buddy, you got to go get a console. October 14th is coming.
Yeah, that's really exciting for them to announce the release date. You got a buddy in the chat that's over there picking on you this entire time, and yeah, we'll let him go, right? We don't pay attention to him, but excited for this game to come out. I'm excited you're also using that word. I know my voice just went up a little bit. That's how excited I am for you to use that. But yeah, I think this is going to be great. That's the factor. It's a marketing plan. They got to market to these consoles first. Everyone who gets the pre-ordered access with the 18 million bundle packs that come with it, with the paint schemes and stuff. One thing that I'm curious about is you had iRacing working behind the scenes with this. There's also another company that iRacing use, and that's Trading Paints. I'm excited to see, do they kind of merge the Trading Paints factor to it, so you can download some of these paints that you're able to see in iRacing, and you see us doing a Friday Night Fuel where we have these custom paints. I'm curious to see if they kind of do a little merger as well, and Trading Paints gets something, maybe like a 5% incentive or something like that. I wouldn't know. I'm not a numbers guy, but it's something that would be really cool if they kind of merge that with the console game.
So year one, it's already been discussed that the paint booth is a standard paint booth where we get to have manipulate shapes and things like that. You think of like the old Call of Duty kind of paint for, tags and things like that. That translates over into the year one build of the game. Developers were very meek on saying, can we bring in our custom logos and things like that, similar to what 2K does for their games. They really balk at that because 2K's got a big problem with not safe for work stuff happening, and iRacing doesn't want that. So ultimately, Trading Paints integration isn't a year one thing. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something in their like 5-year plan, but I would anticipate it being a pretty rough go when it comes to the paint booth for a little while, but nothing like what we're used to here on the iRacing server.
Oh man, well,
I know.
answer that question. Hey, I'm glad you had the answer for at least one question.
Hey, you're the beauty and I'm the brains. So it's very well defined our roles here.
Another thing, Zach, I'm gonna transition. This is kind of off
Mhm.
topic too. MLB The Show. I don't know if you saw that update as well, but baseball is going to Bristol Motor Speedway, and so if you own MLB The Show, you are now able to download the baseball field that they're going to be playing at Bristol Motor Speedway. So hey, we knocked out three things in one pit stop. Did we have to go to DVP now, or what do we do?
No. Let's hit the road and make sure that we are on the right track when it comes to, goodness gracious, when it comes to what is to come here on Friday with Friday Night Fuel. Friday Night Fuel is going to be hitting a fan favorite track, which is Auto Club Speedway, located in Fontana, California, about 50 miles east of LA. This track opened in June 20th of 1997. It's a 2-mile D-shaped oval. So now we are going back to what was when it comes to traditional racing here in NASCAR. This track is well known for driver personalities coming to life. You can race anywhere and everywhere and make sure that clean air is not a problem for you. You can race the high line, the low line, and everywhere in between. and make up some time. Some interesting facts about Auto Club Speedway: it's featured in movies. We talked about Top Gun, and we're that wasn't in Auto Club, but what I'm saying is that there's a parallel here. But you Auto Club was featured in movies like Herbie Fully Loaded, Charlie's Angels, and various commercials, being so close to the LA market. So this track certainly does have a lot of history and also racing history as well to go with it. It's an iRacer's favorite and certainly one that Friday Night Fuel is ready to tackle. So, Ricky, what are your thoughts here when it comes to Auto Club and the challenges that we might face here in the next gen car?
Yeah, definitely excited to get back to sunny California. Unfortunately, if you've ever been there in real life, it's not there anymore. Kind of broke everything up, put
Yeah.
some warehouses around it. So I'm glad that iRacing is able to keep this track on the server and be able to run in leagues and participate here in beautiful Los Angeles. LA is such a nice area, minus the traffic. So if you go, yes, there's going to be traffic, but it's such a cool area to explore and vacation and kind of do the tourist stuff. Um, and it's kind of where the track lays is right off an interstate. So you can see it as you're coming down one of the state highways. And it's just boom, it's just a massive suites were there. And I'm excited to kind of, get back there in the virtual world. So hopefully the wheel, yeah, I'm with you too. Hopefully the wheel doesn't update, but I think we cleared all those issues out. This is a track that's probably notorious for tire wear. So you're going to see guys. It's so wide that you're going to see guys running everywhere from the bottom lane all the way to the top. They're going to be speeds of over 200 mile an hour getting into turn number one, and with the draft playing in effect at a place that's this large, you're going to be able to make slingshot moves like Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights. You're going to be able to side draft a little bit and get by some people. And then you're going to see the guys who save their stuff and have that long run speed like they normally have. You're going to see guys who just fall off and don't know what to do as far as keeping the tires underneath them and not overheating their stuff, right? So another thing that you could see, fuel mileage. We haven't discussed one of those races in a very long time since I believe we were at Michigan when we had a fuel mileage race. So you're going to see drivers probably stay in the draft, stay in line, save their stuff, save some fuel, try to go a little bit farther than the guys who are just trying to go um, to the front and haywire it. And I think it'll put on a fantastic product, especially with drivers being able to drive multiple lanes of the track. I think that's what makes this track unique is that you could put the car anywhere and this thing sticks. And so hopefully tomorrow night we have a decent show out. I'm still concerned with some of the turnout numbers that we've had previous weeks, but I think it'll be, if everyone could show up, it'll definitely be one of the races that you definitely want to tune in if you have somebody that you watch streamer too.
Yeah, absolutely. And really hope that everybody turns on out for this race. It is a driver's favorite. Um, and I think that brings us to uh, picks. And we're going to go back to tradition now, where I get to pick the winner here. And uh, yeah, that's enough of you soiling my name. So we'll we'll make sure that we get back on track here at High Octane with hopefully correct predictions for the winner at Auto Club. Uh, I have to admit, it's been really hard to predict people this season just because of our field and not really knowing who is coming and who is going. However, there was one post that was made in the Friday Night Fuel Discord that got me thinking earlier today about the possibility of a triumphant return from one competitor. This guy loves to race the high line at these tracks that we wind up going to, and he tends to be pretty hard to pass. The question is that can he wind up saving enough fuel, like you talked about, to be effective on fuel mileage? And can he save enough tire to make sure that he doesn't burn his stuff up too early? I'm going to go out on a limb here because he says he thinks he might be able to come tomorrow. And I'm going to pick Nate Estep to get his win here at Auto Club. This is a track where if you can drive it high, wide, and handsome, you're going to be able to make up some time. And I know Nate is really good at that. So I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to pick a triumphant return of a driver who we haven't seen in a little while. And I'm picking Nate to go win Auto Club.
Man, you're gonna have to check back in 2 weeks and see if this guy shows up tomorrow night. I know Nate's have been having some work issues, not work issues, but he's been working a lot. He also has a family to take care of
Yep,
back home, and so we get it why drivers aren't showing up week in and week out. But yeah, if I really want Nate to show up, I feel like he's one of the if he did show up week in and week out, he's one of the ones to beat for a championship. He was in that Final Four
for sure.
last year. He's won multiple races in this league. He knows what it takes to put his car in victory lane. So very excited. That's a solid pick. Very excited to see if he can come back tomorrow night, and let's see if we can see if we can ruffle he can ruffle some feathers and get himself locked into the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll have to see, and ultimately, I think we're going to be in for a great race tomorrow. I'm super excited to go to the club with you tomorrow and jam out. Hopefully, be able to increase my points lead a little bit tomorrow. Do you have any final thoughts you want to give in regards to tonight's show? Anything you want to say to the folks out there watching?
Yeah, just we got some news today that our RC, who's currently doing this league, this will be his last week. So I just wanted to take the time to say thank you to Devin. Thank you for everything that you've done for Friday Night Field. You gave us an opportunity to let you RC, and you've done nothing but great work. He has some issues that are going on with his family, and so thoughts and prayers are to him as he tries to figure that state of his life out. And I know he's also wanting to rebuild his setup shop that he's very passionate for on this platform. And so I wish him nothing but the best. You always have a home here at Friday Night Fuel. It's sad to see you go, but I understand the circumstances that are at hand, and real life stuff comes before this, and a hobby that we all consider this to be fun, and just wish him nothing but the best going forward. And if he ever listens to this, I do really mean that. Really sincere about that. Go take care of yourself. Go take care of what you got to go take care of. If you have a business to run, go do that. As far as the setup shop goes, go take care of your family. That's priority number one. Will always be priority number one. And so yeah, just sad to see him go, but we'll be all right. We're gonna keep going. This thing still goes on, and hopefully we can see some better turnouts going forward.
As my boy Marshawn Lynch once said, you go take care of your chicken. And I want to encourage all of you to like, comment, and subscribe here on Spin Move iRacing Network, where you won't miss a thing when it comes to Friday Night Fuel. And for my buddy Ricky, my name is Zach, and we'll talk to you again next time. Have a great night, everybody.
Just two guys named Ricky and Zach. Strum that rhythm, never look back. Easy talking when racing's a blast. Just here on the High Octane Podcast.